Okay, what up ladies and gents, it's your favorite Asian robot right here. Sorry, been very busy with Diablo 4 content. I know a lot of you want some build reviews, but unfortunately I don't have a lot of time and I don't make enough money from Dauntless to actually do a lot of this stuff. So I'll make videos when I can, but do realize that unless I make more money from this, I will be spending most of my time where I do make money. So anyway, here is another build review for this guy, Ember Eye. He asked me to review this build: Electric Cruelties with Pulse and Reuse, Mod Hurricane Blades, Bond Savate's Pincers, Lantern Skarn's Defiance with Reuse, Omnicell Iceborne, Helmet Skullforge with Parasitic, Chestplate Nash with Tough, Gauntlet Boreal's Gauntlets with Tenacious, and Leggings Thrax's Guiles with Cunning. They said they got this build from somebody else. I'm going to tell you straight up, please don't get builds from other people because they're going to be trash. This build is trash, but I have recreated it and I will show you why it's trash. Okay, so I've recreated this build exactly here. Electric Cruelties, Pulse. Now, the reason why I've got a second Pulse cell is because we're not going to use the Savate's Bond. This is in order to ensure that the test is fair between the two builds that I'm going to construct. Both builds will not have a bond. However, when you do put the Savate's Bond in, all right, this Pulse cell changes to Reuse as mentioned in the comment, okay? But by taking the bond away from both, it becomes easier to compare the DPS of the two. So in order to ensure that he still has his Pulse benefit, but Reuse doesn't trigger in the training grounds, right? So I've taken out the Reuse cell that would be here to ensure that Pulse is still in so that the test is fair, okay? So I've made the same change for both builds, FYI. You'll see that later. But anyway, Electric Cruelties, double Pulse cell. This should be Reused as mentioned because there's no bond. Okay, Reaper's Dance, Hurricane Blades. Did I remove my cam? No, I didn't. Silly of me. Okay, Iceborne Omnicell. Skarn's Defiance with Reuse. Skullforge with Parasitic Cell. Nash Cloak with Toughness Cell. Boreal Might, Tenacious Cell. Thrax's Guile, Cunning Cell. Exactly as described in the comment. 6 Cunning, 6 Pulse, 6 Tenacious, 6 Toughness, 3 Molten, 3 Parasitic, 3 Reuse. How much DPS will this actually do? Okay, for this test, we are going to use the Hurricane Blades. Okay, and since they don't need Adrenaline for this one, I don't have to dash around at the start. But pay attention to the DPS numbers, okay? We're gonna go till we reach about 35k DPS. Alright, sorry I messed up a little bit there in the combo. That's why I generally don't like using Hurricane Blades as a test, but roughly the DPS would be about 1361. Okay, the variance is going to be between 1301 to about 1421-ish. The reason for the variance is it depends on how long you spin. Okay, now keep in mind the DPS number 1.4k, let's just say. Okay, now we're going to shift over to my version of this build. Again, we're going to take out the bond, all right? We're going to take out the Savate's Pincers bond. So how do we do that? We just bring it back to Electric Cruelties. I'm going to put Pulse in here and then Pulse again. Normally, in my build, you would have Toughness here, all right? Why? Because we've taken out the Nashor's Cloak. All right, we've made some other changes, but in general, this will allow you to maintain +6 Toughness. This is to gel with Iceborne. Omnicell is still Iceborne. Skarn's Defiance with the Reuse cell. Skullforge, Toughness cell. Scraping Jacket, Adrenaline cell. Fiery Gauntlets, Recycle cell. Bladed Boots, Recycle cell. Once again, all of this is obtained from cell cores, okay? And I've not used anything different. So the other build didn't use trial cells. I'm not using trial cells here, okay? And again, just to showcase, no bond. All right, so it's a fair test on both fronts. Now, my version uses Adrenaline, so before we begin, we're going to have to dash around. This allows us to maximize Adrenaline's benefit, which you can do in the field, and I'll happily demonstrate during the combat demonstration as well. Alright, we're going to apply the same principle. We're not going to pick up the Molten, but please pay attention to the DPS counter. And notice how much faster we are reaching the DPS that we need. Now, I didn't mess up the combo on this one, so it's a bit unfair. I'm going to lower the DPS that we've got, but this will do about 1.85 up to 1.93. That is the DPS range. So just keep in mind the DPS number 1.85. All right, previously we had 1.4. 1.85 minus 1.4. Okay, the difference is 450 DPS. So this 450 DPS, how much of an increase is it over the original DPS figure of 1.4? That is a 32% DPS increase in my build with the same level of survival. Why is that the case? Why are we dealing more DPS here? Let me explain thoroughly. And this is a lesson that I want everyone to learn. Okay, now we've added in the bonds, and of course I'll show the combat demonstration shortly. But the reason why my build does better is because we have more raw damage versus more crits. Okay, also we are only using 2 defensive cells. Toughness plus Iceborne is more than enough for your lifesteal, whereas Tenacious is a newbie trap. And more defensive cells does not make this build better because when, let's say you've taken a lot of damage because a behemoth comboed you, or 2 behemoths comboed you in the escalation. What's going to happen is that, let's say you're on 200 hit points, Tenacious is only going to give you 4% bonus damage, which means your Cunning and Pulse, which if you look at the DPS formula on Dauntless Wiki, crits come after the raw damage, which means it is a multiplier on the raw damage that you do. The raw damage that you do, if it's not boosted enough, is going to mean lower crits. So not only are you having lower raw damage because you've taken a lot of damage, and Tenacious is based on current hit points, not maximum hit points. If you happen to have only 200 health, you've got 4% bonus damage, then getting boosted by crits. Whereas with this build, that doesn't happen. Adrenaline is just based on stamina, and Recycle is based on how many times you hit the behemoth. So you always have your damage bonus. Tenacious may seem like it's more consistent, but that only applies so long as you haven't taken damage. And the reason why you've got this many defensive cells in this build is because you're afraid of taking damage. You're afraid that if you take too many hits, you can't recover. So you're wasting defensive cells to try and boost your recovery power, when instead it would be simpler to recover simply by not having Tenacious at all. This is why builds with Tenacious have to have a certain manner of being played and created. When I created them in the past, they used a certain formula to ensure that my hit points were never touched. Whereas in this particular case, you don't really have that safety net. Okay? You do have Skarn's Defiance, but it's on a 30-second cooldown. So you're gonna have to understand that you are basically gimping yourself by using a build like this, when instead you could have 1 less legendary, meaning less effort to create this build, and do better by 450 DPS roughly. Okay, at the same time, of course, using Assassin's Frenzy 3 and Reuse 3 is even better because compared to Reuse 6, you will actually have more attack speed gains. Talking about it alone though isn't going to show you the results. Let's go into Blazeworks with my version of the build and let me show you how it functions in combat. I'm sure that that is what you're here to see, so let's show it to you. Once again, for those of you that try to follow builds made by other people, please be aware that many people either don't know the math, they've never taken a look at the damage formula, they don't know the damage formula, and they've just started plugging in random bits and pieces. If you want to watch other people, that's up to you. You can do that. You can support them as much as you want, but you're only harming yourself. If you don't want to harm yourself, then my suggestion is, if you didn't see the build on this channel or on my main channel from the old days, don't even bother. Don't even bother. It's going to be trash. Okay? And I've demonstrated that more than enough times for you guys to already know that, please, for your own sake, okay? For your own sake, you're screwing yourself over. You're not screwing anybody else over. You're screwing you over, nobody else. Okay? All right, let's go do a quick combat demonstration, and then I'm going to hit the gym. All right, Let's go toward the Spore-struck Charog. Now, as I've mentioned before, always try and take advantage of elements where you can. You don't have to build specifically for an element, but if you have an elemental advantage, take it. Okay. Great. Now, the Sevate's Bond has been inserted, as you guys should know, right? And usually after the first initial sequence for the Behemoth, I will start consuming stamina in that manner. This is to ensure that my adrenaline is at the highest possible level. I'll take some advantage of Molten. But my main goal here is to break apart and go ham. Once you break apart, okay, and you get all the attack speed bonuses, this stuff goes hard. And that's where you can start getting all of your benefits from. And if you down something and want to, you know, go ham with the wounds as well, go right ahead, okay? Nobody's going to stop you. You can absolutely take advantage of all this kind of stuff. And you're still getting plenty of damage. You still got high hit point count for survival, but you're not wasting DPS. See? You can even take this a step further by just using one parasitic cell in the Skullforge and adding in yet another damaged cell such as Overpower, which is perfect for a build like this. Alright, you can add an Overpower into the weapon. It'll lead you to only have 1,200 hit points, but hey, you're gonna dish out plenty of damage. Alright, and this thing's dead. So there you go. There you go. Easy peasy. Alright. So that's it. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you very much for watching this video. And if you'd like to, grab a channel membership. The more channel members we have, the more content I can do. But unfortunately right now, Diablo has my attention because it's also making me a good profit. So I will make the next video when I can. But for now, thank you all very much. And I'll see you on the next one. Y'all have a good one. And please, only use Asian robot builds unless you want to have problems. Okay? You want to have problems? That's up to you. Your choice. Okay? Have fun. Bye-bye.